The movie opens with a poster of Mary Jane, who has now become a popular actor. We can also learn that she changed her name to Emma Rose. Besides it, we see Peter looking at her with regret. In the prequel, Spider-Man 1, he was working as a photographer, but now he is a pizza delivery boy. Peter always has a great responsibility to save the city from evil powers and bad guys, so he can't focus on his own life. Here we see that his boss is not happy about his being late for work. His boss tells him their company promises to deliver in 29 minutes, and if they don't deliver in time, the client will not pay for it. Peter is already 21 minutes late, and now he has only 8 minutes. If he can't, his boss will fire him from the job. Peter rushes on his damaged bike to deliver. He looks at the time and realizes he can't gonna make it with the motorbike, so he turns to Spider-Man and swings from building to reach quickly. At the same time, he sees 2 children in danger. He throws his pizzas and chooses to save them before delivery. He saves them and takes his pizzas from the building where a guy is about to eat them. He then reaches the customer's office and gets out of the janitorial. He was 2 minutes late and is not paid for the delivery. His boss also fires him from the job. He was very busy saving people and can't perform well in another job as a photographer as well. His boss, Mr. J. Jameson, at his photography job is also not happy because he is not giving him good photos. Besides his job, he is also studying physics at Columbia University. He rushes to take the class, but finds his teacher, who has already finished it. His teacher tells him that he is always late and his grades are not good. He needs some improvement in his studies. Stressed and exhausted, Peter comes to his Aunt May's home. He is surprised to see his Aunt, Mary, and his friend Harry at home to celebrate his birthday, which he did not remember. They start to talk about their life. Harry reveals that he is now the head of his father's company, Oscorp's Genetic and Scientific Research Division, and is sponsoring a fusion power project by nuclear scientist Otto Octavius, whom Peter wants to meet. Harry also asks him about Spider-Man and expresses to take revenge on his father. Harry accuses Spider-Man of murdering his father. They all then celebrate Peter's birthday. The next morning, Peter learns that his aunt received a notice of foreclosure, and she is very depressed. She remembers his uncle, who died in the prequel, and hands him some dollars as a birthday gift. At night, when Peter comes out to throw trash, he is happy to see Mary, and both talk as in past. They talked about their works, and Mary tells him he should visit sometime to see her play. He was living in an apartment alone, and his landlord always bothers him with the rent, and his daughter likes Peter. He is facing financial difficulties and lives alone to keep track of criminals by listening to police alerts on his machine. The next morning, Peter reached with Harry to see scientist Otto Octavius and his fusion power project. He also meets with Octavius's wife. Both Octavius and Peter talk about the fusion power, and Peter suggests him some upgrades, impressing Octavius. At dinner, Peter questioned the stability of the project because its instability can blow up the whole city, and Octavius assures its success. Then we see Peter reading poems when he was at a wash and dry shop because Dr. Octavius told him to remember poetry if he wants to impress any girl. The next day, we see he is getting ready to attend Mary's show at the cinema. Both are desperate to see each other at the show. Peter takes his motorcycle and heads to the play, but on the way, he is about to run over by some thieves who are escaping from the police. He changed to Spider-Man and chased the thieves, defeating them and taking away their car. When he reached the cinema, he was again late, and the guard didn't get him in. He is now waiting outside. Peter then sees her with a guy and leaves the place, but she still was expecting him waiting. Heartbroken, Peter changes his suit and starts to chase criminal by swinging through buildings. At a certain point, his web stops working, and he falls on some pipes. He learns that he is unable to spin webs and loses his powers. He takes a lift to reach the ground and goes to his home while dragging his motorcycle. The next day, he takes his physics class. After the class, he leaves a voice note for Mary about last night. Peter then goes to Dr. Octavius's lab, where he is about to demonstrate his fusion power project. Octavius tells them he is gonna make a very powerful artificial sun that will help them to produce renewable energy and cheap electricity. He then shows them robot arms and calls it his assistant and says they are impervious to heat and magnetism. Octavius wears a harness of powerful robotic arms using artificial intelligence. He tells them arms are working through his brain using a neural link and nanowire in his cerebellum. And these arms will help him to interact with the fusion reaction. He also inserted a chip to protect himself from the arm's artificial intelligence and to control them. He takes tritium and places it in the center and opens the fusion power. At the moment, it seems successful, but afterward, a power spike causes the fusion reactor to destabilize. It produces a high-voltage magnetic field which starts to attract every metal toward it. Peter senses the danger and returns as a Spider-Man and saves Harry, who is about to die from big metal frames. Spider-Man goes to turn it off, but Octavius stops him with his AI arms. His wife also dies of the glasses broken from windows and damaging his inhibitor chip, making him unconscious. Spider-Man manages to turn off the reactor. The incident almost left Harry bankrupt. Octavius is taken to a hospital to have the arms removed. Doctors decide to remove his mechanical arm and prepare the machines. The inhibitor chip, which Octavius uses to control the arm of artificial intelligence, was damaged. The arms use their own mind to defend themselves and kill all doctors. Now Octavius awakes and is not in his own control. The arms possessed his brain and he leaves the hospital. On the other side, the chief of the Daily Bugle newspaper, Mr. Jameson, take it as a huge opportunity and name him Dr. Octopus. He asks Peter for pictures of Octavius. Peter requests in advance and he laughs at it and shows him the door. We see Octavius, who has reached an abandoned place, feels guilty for his wife's death, and wants to drown the arm along himself in the water. The arms start to talk with him and stop him. Arms are now possessed on his mind and prepare him to rebuild the reactor. But he doesn't have money to buy the machines, so they tell him to rob a bank. Peter and his aunt come to the bank for a loan, but the manager refuses. At the same time, Octavius appears and tears the safe door apart. Peter sees him and goes to change his suit and comes to stop him. Octavius is very angry and throws the coin bags at Spider-Man and both fight. Spider-Man is now in control of Octavius, but he manages to get a huge medal on him and gets him out. Outside of the bank, police came and aimed guns at him. He takes Peter's aunt as a hostage and wants to leave, but Spider-Man appears. Octavius distracts him by throwing her down and letting him catch her. He pulls her up with his web and she hangs on a statue's hand. Spider-Man struggles to rescue her, but Octavius grabs him, and both fight for a while. Octavius again grabs his aunt and wants to kill him, but she hit her stick on his head, making him distract and saving Spider-Man. He then lefts her from his hand, and Spider-Man saves her. Octavius then escapes unharmed. At night, Peter reaches his boss's party to take pictures. Peter then sees Mary with his boss's son, who is an astronaut, and learns both are soon going to marry. He felt very sad and left the place. Disheartened, Peter starts to swing around the city, but suddenly his webs again failed and fall into a street. He was confused about his power loss and came home. On the other side, Octavius brings his machines and prepares to rebuild his reactor. Peter visits a doctor at his university and tells him about his power-losing problem in his dreams. Doctor suggests him that he always has a choice, and he doesn't suppose to be a Spider-Man and climb walls. He should live as a normal person. Peter starts to follow the doctor's advice and throws his suits in the trash can, giving up being Spider-Man. Now he lost every power of Spider-Man and tries to live as Peter, but the rise in the city's crimes worries him. He is now active in his class and also attends Mary's play for the first time. After finishing the play, he tells her to think about her proposal, which he made in the last part, and told her about his feeling for her. She refuses because she is going to marry soon. In the next scene, we see a garbage man bringing Spider-Man's suit from the trash can to Mr. Jameson's office. He understands that he has given up, and prints papers of Spider-Man as no more, in news. He then wears the suit and tries to act like Spider-Man, and it is a funny moment. The scene then cuts to Dr. Octavius, who designed his fusion reactor, but needed the tritium to complete his fusion reaction. He came to Harry and starts to torture him for the tritium, but he makes a deal of Spider-Man's death in exchange for tritium. Harry still thinks Spider-Man is responsible for his father's death. Now we see Peter is in street and sees a building in a fire. He wants to change his suits, but remembers he is not Spider-Man anymore. He goes inside to save a child and struggles as Peter, but manages to save her. Peter then realizes the need for Spider-Man's powers but can't do anything. He received a letter from his aunt, who is moving to a new apartment. She tells about Spider-Man and expresses love for him as a hero. He saves people by endangering his life. Peter then tries to bring his power back and jumps from the building but fails, leaving himself almost paralyzed. In the next scene, Mary invites him for a coffee before her marriage. She asks him whether he loves her or not, and he replies not. She wants to give him a kiss to prove if he is a Spider-Man, because she has kissed him in the previous part. They are about to kiss and seems he is recovering. He senses danger and quickly saves her from Octavius's attack. Octavius asks Peter about Spider-Man and tells him to inform him to meet him at the West Tower at 3 p.m. Octavius then takes Mary as a hostage and leaves the place. Now it seems Peter is recovered from his mutation disease and gains his power. Peter then steals his suits from the Bugle's office and goes to save Mary from Octavius. Both get into a fight and fall on a train. After a lengthy fight, Octavius rips off the speed-controlling gear, making the train uncontrollable. He endangers lots of life on the train and leaves the place. Peter senses the end of the train's track and starts to control his speed, but it is very hard. He uses his webs to make it stop. He uses all of his energy and is successful in stopping the train. The people on the train hold him on their hands and are shocked to see him as he is not older. He awakes and realizes he is unmasked. They give him his mask and promise to keep his identity secret. Peter wears his mask. Now he has become weak. Octavius again appears and makes him unconscious. He then delivers him to Harry and takes his tritium. Now Harry is prepared to kill him, but is shocked to see Peter under the mask. Peter awakes and convinces Harry to direct him to Octavius because he took away Mary, which Harry was not aware of. On the other hand, Octavius is busy with his fusion reaction project, and Mary is tied with a chain. Peter reached here and both again get in a fight. As both are fighting, the magnetic field of fusion reaction arises and starts to catch metals. It also brings Mary's life in danger, but Spider-Man is successful to rescue her. The artificial sun produced by the fusion reaction is now very powerful and start to attract every metal body from its surroundings. Peter unmasks and revealed himself and convinces Octavius to tell him the way to shut down the reactor. It was not possible without drowning it, so Octavius commands the arms to obey him and goes to drown the reactor with him. At the same time, Mary also sees Peter and learns that why he said they cannot be together. Peter then expresses his love while he was saving her from a huge metal. On the other side, Octavius is drowning the reactor with him. Peter rescues Mary, and Octavius sacrifices his life to save the city. Meanwhile, Harry sees a vision of his father's evil soul in a mirror which tells him to avenge his death. Harry refuses because he can't hurt his best friend and throws a knife into the mirror to make it quiet. It reveals a secret room where his father keeps his Green Goblin suit, the jet glider, and other kinds of weapons. The scene then cuts to a church where MJ and her fiancé are preparing to get married, but she didn't arrive at church and sends a letter to her fiancé. Mary then runs to Peter's apartment, where both confess their love and both prepare to live together. Peter then hears the siren of police chasing the criminals. Mary encourages him to go help a Spider-Man, and the movie ends as he swings over buildings. Leave a like and make sure to subscribe to the channel because it helps a lot. And you can find its previous movie recap and the playlist of the Spider-Man series in the description. Thanks for watching.